What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of our marathon prep series. Now, in this episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of my favorite pieces of equipment, gear, shoes, clothing, fuel that I use every single week for my marathon prep. And some of these things we get questions about on a regular basis, so we figured let's make a YouTube video to let you know exactly what I'm using on a weekly basis to help facilitate my training. This marathon prep is our way of helping you reach your goals by showing you what we are doing to accomplish ours. Throughout this series, leading up to the Buffalo, New York Marathon, we will provide you the tools, resources, and knowledge to PR your next race. Training as a hybrid athlete has taught me so much about endurance, from marathons, an Ironman triathlon, and 100-mile ultra trail races. I'm now setting the goal to run a sub 250 marathon. It's time to lean in and go one more. Now, I think one of the number one questions we get asked all the time is about running shoes. And right now, I'm wearing two different pairs of running shoes. And here's a recommendation of what I like to do. If you're in a marathon prep or build, you're probably logging a lot of miles. And where I messed up in my early days of running, like if I look back at when I was in the Army, I would wear the same running shoes I was probably wearing the same running shoes for 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, logging lots of miles. Now, I really like to cap out a pair of shoes at 250 to 300 miles max. And one thing that happens when I'm wearing a pair of shoes for too long is I start to feel it in my ankles and my knees and my hips. And then once I change out those shoes, we're good to go. So, two pairs of shoes right now. First off, my daily trainers, my daily runners that I use in my everyday, just easy aerobic based runs. And this is a fresh pair. I haven't ran in these yet because my old pair were all worn out. These are the SAUCONY ENDORPHIN Speeds. I love these shoes. I really do. I do want to point out that they do have a tighter toe box, so sometimes your toes get a little cramped in there. But what I also like to do when I'm deep into a big prep is I'll have two pair of these, and I'll rotate between these every other day. One that allows the foam and the soles to kind of bounce back from that bigger run. And, I can log 500 to 600 miles between two pair of shoes. But my daily trainers are the SAUCONY ENDORPHIN Speeds. Now, my shoes that I wear for either tempo workouts, track workouts, or big workouts and races, these shoes are my favorite. These are the Nike VAPORFLY Next Percents, and I always go with the same colorway. And this is my race day pair. Now, these shoes don't log nearly as miles as something like a SAUCONY ENDORPHIN Speed. These might get like 120 to 150 miles max on them. So I'm saving these for like 2 easy runs, and then I'll wear these for Buffalo, New York. But I always go with the pink. They're light. They have a carbon base plate that is very responsive on the bottom, and it's, in my opinion, a really good race shoe. So race shoe, daily trainer, 2 different reasons to wear each one of those. Now we're going to jump into something that is a little different. However, I have found is game changing, especially in the warmer months when you're sweating a lot. And I started using this stuff when I was actually training for Leadville 100, and I use it a lot at Leadville. Oh, actually, can I get the nut butter?
It's not like that.
First, you hold this. It's in my back. It's in my back.
Oh yeah.
What's going on? Oh God, I literally just...
All right.
Hey.
This right here is Squirrel's nut butter. Now there's two different ways to apply this. This one is more of like your typical deodorant stick. Take the top off and you kind of just like rub it wherever you're chafing. This is kind of a butter where you kind of just like put your fingers in there, grab a big old chunk of it and put it wherever you need it. But like the places that I'll chafe sometimes are between my thighs, my upper thighs, or like between my tricep and my back, like right on my lat, I will chafe sometimes. So if I'm sweating a lot or I'm starting to chafe, I will use Squirrel's nut butter. I get a lot of questions about people chafing. Here's one of the solutions that I like to incorporate to prevent that, because it can become a little uncomfortable. And like I said, when you're sweating more, sometimes you're chafing more. So the next thing we're diving into is nutrition or fuel. This is for me something I cannot and will not compromise on. As you know, if you've been following this journey, this series so far, my pre-race nutrition, and one of the things that I do for these big workouts, like for example, this coming weekend is a 22-mile workout with a lot of those miles at marathon pace. I will dial in my race day nutrition and practice that for these big weekend workouts or even my tempo and track workouts. So we have a few things right here. BPN electrolytes, 500 milligrams of sodium in each serving. G1M Sport, which is our carbohydrate and electrolyte formula. G1M Sport has 20 grams of carbs in the form of cluster dextrin in each serving and 350 milligrams of sodium and a full electrolyte profile. Now, my pre-race nutrition and what I'm doing before these big workouts like this weekend's 22-miler, I do 3 scoops of G1M Sport with an additional 2 scoops of electrolytes. And I'll mix that up in a shaker bottle. So 3 scoops and 2 scoops. And then I will drink that, as well as I will eat an English muffin or a bagel that is toasted with just a little bit of peanut butter, a sliced up banana, and honey. So between that beautiful combination of English muffin / bagel, peanut butter, honey, banana, I love like peanut butter, honey, banana together. That with the electrolytes and G1M Sport, I'm getting a heavy dose of carbohydrates, top off glycogen, and use as a fuel source, as well as a really heavy dose of electrolytes and primarily sodium. What that does, if you listen to the podcast I did it with Dr. D. Nicolantonio, is that when you have this big dose of sodium, about 90 to 120 minutes prior to a big endurance event, it will boost blood volume and has massive benefits for performance. Now, what I like to use during a big workout or like a marathon, what I'll be using for the Buffalo, New York Marathon, is I'll carry some gels with me. I personally like the Spring Energy gels. This flavor right here is the Awesome Sauce. It tastes like cinnamon mixed with applesauce. It's awesome sauce. Like when you're younger and your mom would like sprinkle some cinnamon in your applesauce and mix it up. That's exactly what it tastes like. Each one of these, and I'll have one of these every, I'll plan it out for that day, but every 30 minutes. Sometimes I'll do like every 4 to 5 miles. But in each one of these packets, it is 180 calories, 0 fat, 45 carb, 2 protein. But what I like most importantly about these Spring Energy gels is the ingredients. The reason I use Spring and not some other gels in the market is because a lot of the other gels in the market are maltodextrin based, and sometimes that just wrecks my stomach. Where I've used other gels that are maltodextrin based, and what I'm doing instead of running is I'm searching for a porta potty, a toilet, a bush, or someone's backyard. Unfortunately, in some cases. In this, we have organic basmati rice, organic applesauce, apple juice, yams, maple syrup, organic lemon juice, vanilla, sea salt, and cinnamon. Delicious. So between the electrolytes, G1M Sport, and Spring Energy Gels, that is my fuel that I use before and during a lot of these big runs or races. The next thing I want to talk about is the watch that I'm wearing, as well as a heart rate monitor. And I'm going to talk about why this is important. So like watch wise, I'm currently rocking the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro. By no means you need to go with the Fenix 6 Pro series. You can start off with a Garmin 235. My first Garmin was the Garmin 7, I think it was a 735 XT. Maybe it was a 795 XT. As long as it syncs to like a heart rate monitor and it gives you some real data and has a GPS in it, use it for running. And I love the Garmin series. So having a GPS watch, the reason I got the Fenix 6 Pro is because when I was prepping for my last 2 100-mile ultras, I didn't want to have something that would die. And this Fenix 6 Pro lasts, I think, like 20 something days. I charge this thing maybe like once every 2 weeks. It's a beast. And having a heart rate monitor, a chest heart rate monitor that syncs to your watch is super important for a few reasons. One, don't trust the heart rate monitor on the watch. It is very, very, extremely inaccurate. And two, whether you're a new runner or an experienced runner, if you are trying to run below your max aerobic heart rate using, say, the Maffetone method, and you want to be running in the appropriate zone and building that aerobic base and foundation, if you don't know what that effort feels like, you can use some objective data like your heart rate to monitor where your heart rate is in real time during that run. So you wear this across your chest, it sends real-time data to your watch, and I can see, is my heart rate below 150 beats per minute? Yes, it is. Okay, let's hang out here. After time, when you become more experienced and you've been wearing a heart rate monitor for a few months, maybe a few years, you know what that effort feels like. And I rarely wear a chest heart rate monitor anymore because I know what it feels like to run below 150 beats per minute. You just know it after a certain period of time. When you're running long enough, you know what effort feels like, you know what heart rate feels like, you know what paces feel like, you know what distance feels like, right? You've been doing it so long you can feel, you have this sense, you have this pulse on it. So if you're new or you're having trouble sticking to aerobic based runs or maintaining the appropriate heart rate for a specific run, throw on a chest strap monitor, sync it to your watch, and you are good to go. Let's see, the next thing that I want to dive into. Let's go with this bad boy right here. Now, this is a Nathan handheld water bottle. And what I like about this is that you can now carry hydration during your longer runs or even your workouts. If I'm going for an easy, 14, 16, 18, 20 mile run, I will carry a handheld water bottle with me. And I'll typically fill this up with G1M Sport, water, and electrolytes. So I'll just throw this around my hand here and I'll carry it. I mean, it's locked in. Like, this thing is not flying off. It's a lot better than having to hold in your hand the whole time a water bottle because you're literally strapped in, right? You're good to go. And with this Nathan handheld, I believe this holds typically around 15 fluid ounces of water, but it also has these pouches up front where I can throw my key fob. If I'm not running from my house, I'm going to like a park or downtown Austin, I can throw my key fob in here. I can even throw a few gels in here, right? You can rotate this between hands and you have everything you need right here. And you really don't even know it's there the entire time. As you're running, come up, grab a sip, and you are good to go. So handheld water bottle is something that I recommend. You can get these on Amazon for fairly inexpensive and cheap. Now, talking about apparel, right? If I could run naked, I would. I'll be honest. I want to run in as little as possible and I want it to be light. I'm always wearing a hat, as you guys probably see in the videos. So I'm always wearing this BPN Go One More. We have Go One More on the back here, on the back strap. The varsity logo on the front. It's a Boko gear hat, so it's super lightweight. You can get wet. You can throw it in the wash. And it has these perforated holes up top that, it breathes for you. I always wear a hat on my run. But one of the questions we get asked pretty often is in terms of shorts and socks. These are the socks that I'm currently rocking. Not just this pair, but this brand. These are the SWIFTWICK socks. And they're really good in terms of sweating in them. They're durable. They last a long period of time. They're stretchy, but they don't the bacon collar for shirts. Like if you ever wear a shirt and it gets bacon collar and it's like all worn out and old. Sometimes that happens to socks as well. But what I found with these is I've probably washed these like 100 plus times. And they still spring back. They're still elastic and they still work very well. So SWIFTWICK socks are my current socks that I've been using. I always run shirtless unless it's cold out, and I'll throw like a longer sleeve on, but I prefer shirtless running. The shorts that I've been wearing for a couple years now, I used to wear a lot of the Lululemon Fast and Frees, the 3-inchers. I do love those, especially because they have pockets for gels or key fob as well. But the running shorts I've been wearing, pretty consistently are by TRACKSMITH. And I wear a large in TRACKSMITH shorts. I like the liners in these. They don't bother me. They do have some pouches in the back that you can throw some gels or key fob in. There's not really like a cinch to it. Just like kind of drop them in. The shorter the short, the better. And I always say that if you are running in anything longer than a 5-inch inseam short, you're running in pants. You're running in long pants. So if I could wear I guess they don't really make 2-inch shorts, but 3-inch short is really the shortest I found. I guess any shorter than like a 3-inch short is you're probably going with a Speedo. And I know there's guys who do triathlons in Speedos, like the whole thing. Saw this guy once. He finished the bike and the run in a Speedo. So maybe that's the next evolution of my running journey and career. But for now, it's the TRACKSMITH shorts that I enjoy. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is a good pair of running sunglasses. And I personally love, and I've loved for the past couple of years, this company called ROKA. And the way I found ROKA actually is they're an Austin, Texas based company, really cool company. And they started out in the space, the triathlon space, with wetsuits. And they created a really good, it's the only wetsuit I ever tested out, so I can't say like it's the best I've ever tried. It's the only one I've ever tried, but they are really good wetsuits. I love the ROKA wetsuits. It's a really cool connection because they first started testing their wetsuits in Barton Springs, which is a natural spring here in Austin, Texas. It's right downtown by Zilker Park. And that's where they started testing their first wetsuits. And their headquarters is about 15 minutes from where I'm sitting right here. And their brand has evolved over the years where they now specialize in eyewear, prescription eyewear, sunglasses for men and women. And their designs are really cool. The materials are super high quality. And you can do custom glasses as well. So I did these sunglasses custom. These are the ROKA GP series. And I did like a military tan and matte black. And they're super lightweight. They stick to your head very well. They never fall off. But having like a solid pair of sunglasses for my longer runs on the weekends, because when I'm running during the week, it's typically at like 5, 6 a.m. So I obviously don't need sunglasses or want sunglasses. But for a long run on the weekend, a solid pair of shades that are lightweight, durable, and pretty sleek is always a good option to have on hand. And I have a few different pairs of these. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to highlight that I really use around all of my running. And what's cool about running is there's a really low minimal barrier to entry. Like I can literally go run right now outside in whatever I'm wearing. I can grab a pair of shoes. I can go barefoot. I could cut these jeans in half and take my shirt off and go run And that's what's cool. You can run pretty much anywhere you're at. And as you see, like, you don't need a whole lot to do it, but there's some things that you can add to your kind of arsenal of running equipment and gear in terms of different shoes, watches, heart rate monitor, fuel and nutrition. If you're a chafer, throw in some chafe cream on there and have fun with it. But these are the basics of what I use on a weekly basis. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Marathon Prep. And if you enjoyed this one, I know you're going to enjoy last week's episode, which you can find right here. So go ahead, check this out. And if you want to make sure you're not making the biggest mistake of most people's marathon training, click the video, check it out, save yourself time, energy, money, and resources, and PR your next race.